18 divisions are available to us in the full version of the game. How awesome is that? And this doesn't even include the ones they will be porting over from Steel Division Normandy 44. So yeah, we're definitely up for a treat. And speaking of treat, today we'll be looking at the first SoullessVase. So let's dive right into it. So I will be going over through all of the units first, and then we will be looking at the battle group that I made after studying each and every unit. And yeah, you can copy that deck code from the description to get you started. So in the Recon tab, let's see what we have. So we have a BMW 750 with an MG34, decent Recon unit, very fast on-road, a decent stealth, high optics. I'm personally not a fan of motorbike Recons, but this might be something for you. A new addition, 38M Toldy 1 with a 20mm autocannon. So this is kind of like a Panzer II Lucius, or Lukes, as I like to call them. 105 rounds per minute, so that is definitely a high rate of fire for this 20mm. 35mm penetration, so pretty good. 1000 meters range, so not max range, so watch out for those enemy tanks. And if you do spot one, you're not going to really survive. And it also has an 8mm machine gun on it. But do keep in mind that the autocannon does not have HE rounds, so it cannot fire at infantry in the open, or like AT guns or things like that. We also have the BMW 750 ATR, so basically a 20mm anti-tank rifle instead of a machine gun. That could be a ton of fun. 500 meters range though, and 21 rounds per minute. So that's a decent stat, but why 500 meters range while the MG34 has 750 meters range? There could be just a bug. Things like this are always subject to change, but 40mm penetration, definitely welcome. We also have some Recon Infantry, a 2-man squad, very high optics, exceptional stealth. Definitely useful to put in there if you like to flank around with your Recon. We have the 39M Saba, 20mm anti-tank rifle. So instead of an autocannon, this one just has a rifle of the same caliber, but slightly better penetration, but much better accuracy per shot, that is. And the rate of fire is still pretty good, about a round per 2 seconds at the same range. But yeah, the only thing that it has going apart from that is that the Saba is faster both on and off-road. Yeah, very cheap in general for all of these units, so that's quite good. We have the 38M Toldy 2A instead of a 20mm autocannon. It has a 40mm gun on it, 65mm penetration, 30% accuracy and max range, 17 rounds per minute, so about a round every 3 seconds, which is very respectable actually. That's pretty dang good. And an 8mm machine gun on it. Besides that. So, what else do we have? We also have some Recon Infantry, a 12-man squad this time, with the M39 rifles and the 31M, 10 of them of those rifles. They're either 100 meters, well I shouldn't say rifles, it's more of it's an SMG, or 500 meters, so definitely not the best at close quarters, but good at mid-range engagements, and it also has that machine gun, so yeah, definitely a decent Recon unit. Look at that guy hiding in there. Yeah, that is about it. And so in terms of vehicles, they all come in... Yeah, so apart from this guy, we do have a wide variety of vehicles that we can choose out of, but none of them are armed. It's actually pretty weak. It's all wheeled. There's one that is half-track, but it doesn't really give you that much protection, so I'll probably, for all of my infantry units, I'll probably go for the 37M Krupp, since it's very fast on road, and yeah, it's pretty much the best you can get, really. So in the infantry tab, let's see what we have. So we have a BMW 750 PK, a leader unit on a motorbike, nothing too special. We have the SoullessVase Tist, I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right, with 2 SMGs, 3 rifles and smoke grenades, also a leader unit, 5-man team, pretty good optics and stealth and all that good stuff. And once again, the leader units do have the option to select either one of those vehicles. But like, for example, if you go for the half-track, it doesn't really give you that much. There's no reason to go for the half-track. It's slower on both on and off-road, so I just recommend going for the truck here. I mean, it might be more resilient, but honestly, is it going to be worth that big reduction in speed? Probably not. So, we also have some assault squads with 1 submachine gun and 12 rifles and HE rounds. It's a 13-man team, so pretty powerful at mid-range. And yeah, since they have those grenades, they can actually do some CQC stuff as well. But yeah, definitely an infantry unit that I'll put in my battle group. And 25 points, you get 6 of them at lowest veterancy in phase A, and you get like 12 and 18 in later phases. So definitely a good buffer infantry to fill that front line. So speaking of front line, this is probably what I will be using mostly, the Kerek Parasok, I don't know. Any Hungarians in here? Let me know. Let's see, so 2 SMGs, 10 rifles, and a machine gun finally. So pretty good all-around rifle units that can hold the front line, and then with the Arkazoks you can like secure the flanks of that line or reinforce it. So definitely a nice infantry unit to have, and you get a ton of them. I mean, look at that. Even on mid-range you get 6, or mid-veterancy. We have some anti-tank capable infantry in this case. So 1 machine gun or submachine gun, 12 rifles, and finally a Panzerfaust with not the best range, but definitely good enough, 120 mil or meters. 13-man infantry unit, and this is something that the red team is missing big time. They really lack anti-tank infantry in the infantry tab. So let's see what else we have. So that's the lovers. We also have some more leaders, the Arkaz Tisk. So basically, for each type of unit, there is like a type of leader unit in this case. So 2 SMGs, 3 rifles, and a machine gun, and also have a Faust Patrone, so 120 meter ranged anti-tank weapon. So pretty interesting unit, I gotta say, and I might actually put these in there as well, but we'll have to see. So apart from that, we have a big squad here, the Hussars, with a 16-man squad with 1 SMG, 9 rifles, and 3 machine guns. Definitely more focusing on the mid to long range engagements. And these guys, once again, come in the same trucks. We also have the Hussars with the 149 mil heat shells instead, with 2 SMGs and 14 rifles. So definitely more close quarters focused in this case. So Hussar leader units, just a 5 or 6 man team leader units with SMGs and MP40s in this case, and a 31M, and also smoke nades. Definitely useful if you like try to block off the line of sight of like a tank or even infantry. Pretty powerful. And last but not least, we have flamethrower units, 5-man squads, and this is definitely going to be the backbone of any composition of this battle group that has infantry in it. Definitely the most powerful unit in here. The rest is it's okay. It will be able to hold its own, but if you're up against like Panzer Grenadiers, you're gonna have a bad time. So in the tank tab, obviously, since it's an infantry battle group, it's going to be pretty bleak. So we have the 38M Toldy 2 pack with the 20 mil autocannon, the same as the recon unit. Slightly better front armor, I believe, so 30 mil instead of... Nope, same front armor. Excuse me. We have the 40 mil Turan, and once again the 38 Toldy 2 does not have HE rounds, so watch out. The 40 mil Turan does though, so it has a 40 mil tank gun with HE rounds in it as well, and the AP, it's not too bad, 65 mil penetration on it. It's actually a pretty nice looking tank, I gotta say. Decent road speed, not the best off-road speed. We also have the 41M Turan 2, kind of looks like a Panzer IV in my opinion, with a 75 mil. So 75 mil penetration on the heat rounds, 55 on the AP, and it also has HE rounds, and it has 2 machine guns. And I guess it's these 2 big tubes here. So pretty interesting unit, and it might be a good fire support for your infantry. And we also have this guy in the leader variant as well. So in the support tab, we have quite a lot of units that you might be interested in. So we have a flamethrower, a 2-man duo flamethrower with an MP40 and a Flamethrower 41 with also some smoke nades. Definitely useful to get in there. And yeah, depending on what kind of unit it is, you can go for different types of vehicles, but usually I would recommend the Krupp. But if you really want them there really quickly, the BMW will do just fine as well. And in the case of Recon, it's actually very useful to go for the BMWs because they're quick and they have medium stealth, and the vehicle becomes Recon as well. So yeah, remember that. Anyways, we also have 50 mil mortars, 28 rounds per minute, so that is that is definitely not the correct model for a 50mm mortar, but we're just gonna ignore it. About around every 2 seconds, so that is definitely definitely impressive. MG's 7.92mm machine gun with 1000 meters range, not the best, but definitely good fire support. Speaking of fire support, we have this massive 75mm infantry gun with 2000 meters range. You know this is going in my battle group, that's for sure. Really good rate of fire, about once every 6 seconds, and for an infantry gun of this caliber, that is definitely good. Put this in there. We have some supply trucks, nothing special. We have a commander unit, infantry in phase A. We have the 40M Saba in phase B with 8mm machine guns instead of the actual autocannon or anti-tank rifle, excuse me. And we also have the T38 PK commander in phase C with the 37mm tank gun, 70mm penetration, once again no HE, but the main thing about this is how nice it looks. Look at it. Really cool art on these vehicles, I gotta say. But honestly, I usually keep my commanders enough behind for them to not be at risk of dying. So I wouldn't really recommend going for these more expensive commanders, and just get your commanders early on. In the anti-tank tab, we have some guys with the anti-tank rifle, 40mm penetration, 500 meters range, really good accuracy, and actually exceptional stealth on these guys. So I might actually put these in the battle group, believe it or not. We have the 40mm anti-tank gun with the heat shells. It does 180mm penetration, 30% accuracy, so not the best, but only 800 meters range. With the AP rounds, it's max range, 65mm penetration, and also has HE rounds at its disposal. Now the 75mm, yeah, much better in all aspects. It can fire at max range with the APCR. The AP rounds still do much more, well, have a much higher penetration and damage value than the AP rounds of the 40mm, which is 65, so that's pretty poor. And yeah, it's just a better AT gun in general, and the accuracy is 15% better. We also have an anti-tank vehicle, the Tank Destroyer, the Jagd Panzer 38T, with a decent loadout here. So 30 shells, AP shells with 145mm penetration, really good front armor. So yeah, definitely put that in there. But don't forget about the 75s. So far this battle group really feels like more of a defensive battle group rather than offensive one. So it's kind of like a cavalry deck. You want to push early on and then hold your ground and then defend and just play more of an ambush tactic rather than a, you know, out in the open brawl. So yeah, that is probably where I will be building my deck around as well, at least the idea. So in the anti-air tab we have some 40mm. I definitely like having some autocannon AA. These are really powerful, so 40mm with 2500 meters range. I usually get these early on, and even 2 of these can create a really strong AA net. We also have the newest addition, the Nimrod. This basically looks like the predecessor of the automatic that I think Denmark has. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's basically a land ship. So look at that. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, that is just crazy. So with the heat shells, it has 200mm of penetration. So if you position this somewhere that can even ambush tanks, IS-2s, whatever you throw at it, it's just gonna get wrecked. 200mm penetration with that. That is absolutely insane. The rate of fire is only 1 per 10 seconds though, so not the best. The AP shells, really good as well. 1500 meters range, 82 rounds per minute. HE, same thing. And the bullets, same thing. I don't know what the difference is, I guess. I guess it's just a solid piece of metal compared to high explosive or like armor piercing focus. Last but not least, we also have the 80mm dual purpose gun here with, yeah, it's basically just the flak 88, you could say it, or flak 41 equivalent that the Bulgarians or Hungarians have. 55% accuracy, 2500 meters range, very good in general. The HE only has 2000, so once you run out of AP, you definitely want to resupply these guys for it to be possible to fire at max range again. But yeah, pretty good AA gun to have. I personally don't like these slow firing AA guns. This one does fire pretty quick, Nonetheless, like once every, what, 4 seconds? 5 seconds. So not too bad, but yeah, I don't know. A little bit too slow in my opinion. I just want to stun enemy planes really quickly. In the artillery tab, we have the artillery observer. We have infantry leaders. So we have a 10-man squad leader here with MP40s and rifles. We have the 80 mil mortar. That is one bling looking like mortar with 17 rounds per minute. So that is pretty good. Definitely really good mortar unit to use. And I personally like fast firing mortars over higher caliber. But for instance, if we compare it to the 120 mil, the rate of fire doesn't even differ that much. And you get twice the range. So yeah, that is the 120 mil right there. We also have the 76.5 mil howitzer. Really not the max range that you can get with artillery pieces. So this one is about 9 kilometers. Rate of fire is 1 every 10 seconds. So not too bad, and it also carries smoke shells. We have off-map, 105 mil off-map artillery. We have the 105 mil howitzers. Once again, once every 10 seconds. Rate of fire, that is. We have more off-map, 210 mil. And these are called in via airplane, which might actually be very useful to have if you like your off-map artillery. You might be able to get there really quick, drop it off, and then get out without risking losing that unit. And finally, we have the big boys here, the 149 mil howitzers, 40 rounds, and surprisingly a higher rate, like I don't know if that's supposed to be, but it has a higher rate of fire than the 105 mils, and a better accuracy. I don't know. I don't know if that's supposed to be the thing, but it might be. It might just be, you know, temporarily. But yeah, in the air tab, nothing too spectacular, honestly. So we have a biplane fighter here. The CR-42 BIS with 250 cals could actually be very useful because these guys can turn on a dime. Very, very powerful in like dogfights at close range. Definitely not great if you're being intercepted by like a P-39Q type of airplane, something that has an autocannon above 20 mils. Recon, we have some Ju-88D1, so this one is the fast boy here with a 13 mil turret and a 7.92 mil turret. Very bad agility, very good resilience though, and good optics, and that's what you want in a recon plane. We also have the Fw189 A2 recon, a very slow recon plane. The agility is medium, resilience is bad, optics is good. So if you compare these two guys, there's good and bad things about both of these planes. So if you have a very fast recon, you're not going to be able to hang out there for a long time, but you will be able to get out of there really quickly. And they have bombs. Like that's a win. Well, the A2 does. The A2, on the other hand, is slow. It has bombs, the same like stat of optics, but once the enemy spawns in planes to intercept it, 9 out of 10 times you're going to lose it because it's just too slow to get out of there. So make those comparisons. We have Stukas, the Ju-87D5 with two, I should say, what is that, two 450 kilogram bombs in total, if my math is correct. It also has two 20 mils on the wings, and it has a 7.92 mil on as a turret in the back here. So yeah, we have a few of these, and we have different kind of types of loadouts, I believe, in this case. Yeah, instead of one 250 kilogram, we have one 500 kilogram bomb, and it only decreases the speed by 10 kilometers per hour, and it doesn't do anything else to things like the agility. So if you're going for a Stuka, go for these big boys. The clusters, the Ju-87D5 with the cluster bombs, definitely have been using these quite a bit, and they just absolutely destroy. Fw190 F8 with two 20 mil autocannons on the wings and also 13 mils on the nose, right there I believe. So this is a very capable fighter, and it is the only fighter you got apart from the biplane, but you can get 2 cards of these. Last but not least, the Ju-88A4 with what? 1 ton of bombs, 4 times 250 kilogram bomb loadout. Very good, definitely the only strong bomber that you have, and also has some machine guns as turrets, as you can see on the top there, and I believe on the bottom, or am I wrong? I might be wrong, that might be the only one. Yeah, looks like it. And we also have the Fw190 8, and this guy carries a ton of bombs. 8 50-kilogram bombs, and it has 2 autocannons on the wings and 13 mils on the nose. So yeah, very powerful. So let's go over to our battle group that we have just built, and you guys can copy this from the code in the description. So in the Recon tab, I've put in the BMW 750 ATR with the anti-tank rifle. One, because it has a really good accuracy and a decent penetration, and it is really fast. So if I manage to get these guys into a flanking position, I can tear away at their transports that are trying to get into the town that I'm getting into, but I might be slower with my infantry transports. So yeah, pretty good units to have. I also have the 2-man recon teams to do flanks around the enemy flanks. And the motorbike is going to be a recon unit on its own after I unload. And the motorbike has medium stealth and high optics compared to some of the other vehicles like very bad stealth and normal optics. And we also have the 12-man recon teams with the SMGs and the 10 rifles and the machine gun. I haven't put in any of the vehicles in this battle group. One, because I can get the same type of firepower and armor in the tank tab. And 2, I needed those points elsewhere, and you kind of have to make those compromises. Like, for instance, this guy, the 38.38M Toldi 2A, you can get the equivalent in a tank tab, and since these guys have bad stealth, I don't expect you to do any big pushes or flanks, with these units, so I've kind of eliminated them from this deck altogether. Infantry tab is definitely where you're the strongest. So in Phase A, I have 6 lowest vet Arkazoks, and yes, lowest vets, because I wanted to get the most out of this, since I'm more of a cavalry deck, and I'll probably be sacrificing quite a lot of units in my initial push, so I want to get the numbers up there. But I don't do this with all of them, I just did it with the Arkazoks to get enough infantry in Phase A. So these guys, as I said previously, have some SMGs, some rifles, and the frag HE shells. 13-man team, good infantry to use in Phase A, so good against infantry and lightly armored vehicles. To couple them up with something with machine guns, I've gone for the Carrack Parazoks. These guys have the 31M machine gun with 750 meters range and some good mid-range weapons like the rifle. And everything that I have is going to be in these wheeled transports, either the Bekannt A or the Krupp 37M. And in Phase A I also have some anti-tank capable units with the Panzerfaust and 12 of these rifles, so pretty good close range units with some anti-tank capabilities. And it's a 13-man squad, so all of these together gives you quite a lot of infantry to play with, 18 squads in total, not counting any of the support units that we also have. And to top it off, I have some leader units in Phase A, 6-man squads with the 31M and also AT weapons like the Faust Patronus. In Phase B, we have the Hussar, Golyo Sorosok with the SMGs and the 9 rifles and 3 machine guns, so really good line infantry. And to help them out with anti-tank capabilities at close range, for example in woods, we have these Hussaroks with the 14 rifles and the 149mm heat shells. Finally, we have the backbone of our infantry battle group, which is the Flamethrower Infantry. Now you might think, why don't you get them in Phase A? Mainly because I only got 4 of them. And since I'm playing defensive, flamethrowers are one of the best defensive units to have in, for example, forests or like towns, to wreck any like big infantry wave that the enemy throws at you. But yeah, you can play around that. It just depends on your type of gameplay style, I guess. So yeah, that is all we have for Phase B. And for the leader units, I actually put them in the artillery tab, which I'll get to in a second. And in Phase C, we have the Hussar Golyo Sorok leader units, or not leader units, rifle units in Phase C, and you get 12 of these. In the tank tab, the 41M Turan 2 with the 75mm tank gun on mid-veterancy. We also have the 41M Turan, don't know why that's not going, here we go. With the 75mm, this is the leader variant of that guy basically. And in Phase B, we also have the 40M Turan 1 with the 40mm tank gun. So I haven't gone for any of the other ones because, well, for one, the autocannon is the Toldi 2 pack, which we have here, but instead of the autocannon, we have the 75mm heat instead. You could go for the autocannon, 105 rounds per minute. So definitely a very useful unit to have, and as a matter of fact, I might actually just get that guy in there because I want to support my infantry. In the support tab, speaking of support, we have machine guns in phase A, mid-veterancy, 1000 meters range. We have the infantry gun with 2000 meters range, really good fire support as well. We have supplies in phase A, supplies in phase B, and we have commanders in phase A. In the anti-tank, we've put in those 40 mils in phase A on mid-veterancy, and we've basically loaded up the 75 mils in phase B on all mid-veterancy, and we also have the Yak Panzer 38T in phase B, and you get 4 of these bad boys as well. Like, if you get them in phase C, you get 2 more. Honestly, I want to get all of my defenses out as soon as possible. One thing that you could do, actually, is to get these anti-tank rifle infantry units, because you don't get any of those with your infantry, which is a real shame, because those are actually pretty powerful. But for that, you would have to make a sacrifice by either decreasing the amount of 75 mils, which I really don't recommend you doing, or getting rid of this 40 mil, or deleting something somewhere else. So yeah, we're just gonna have to do with our Recon anti-tank infantry instead, and just, you know, play around with the Panzerfaust and the heat shells instead. So in the anti-air, we have 2 of these 40 mils in phase A, we have 4 of them in phase B, and we also have 2 of these Nimrods in phase B. And together, this should be more than enough anti-air. In the artillery tab, we have the 120 mils in phase A, since the rate of fire doesn't really differ with the 80 mils. We have leaders, infantry leaders in phase B for our infantry. We have 105 mil howitzers in phase B, 3 of these are mid-vet, and we have the 149 mils in phase C. And since these guys have a good accuracy of 30%, even better than the 105 mils, I just gone for the lowest vet to get the highest amount of boom, if you know what I mean, just to quickly suppress an entire region. If you go for mid-veterancy, you only get 2, and honestly, as soon as you fire, you probably don't want to fire again in order to not get spotted and countered. So what I usually do is fire 1 volley and then stop. And in the air tab, I've gone with the Ju-88D1 Recon. You get 3 of these, very fast planes, and the point of this is to quickly see where the enemy is going to push and then build up my defenses accordingly. We have cluster bombs in phase B, Ju-87D5s to support with my defensive approach. We have fighters in phase B as well, lowest veterancy, sadly, but there's not much else we can do since I want to get these fighters early on. And if you go for mid-vet, you only get 2. And what I'm hoping for is my AA being at a good point to support my planes, and then letting my planes to take out their suppressed airplanes. And as for bombs, we only have the Ju-88 A4s with the 2, with the 1-ton total loadout. Stukas, I don't like them. They take really long to drop their payload. You could get the Stukas if you remove something somewhere else, like for instance, you could remove the supplies from phase A, because the artillery in phase A has probably enough rounds to last for a bit, but honestly, 20 rounds is probably not going to last you that long. Or you could remove, for example, one of these tank cards, or one of the infantry cards, or yeah, play around with it. But usually, 9 out of 10 times, if I don't have good bombers, I will compromise and adapt to the situation and maybe use more artillery or more fire support to take out those units instead of bombs. It's not just rock, paper, scissors, guys. But yeah, in the defense tab is basically the same as always. Barbed wire, trenches, and machine gun bunkers and AT bunkers. But that's it. That's it for my first low-VAS battle group. The next one we'll be looking at is probably going to be a German battle group, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you guys back in the next one. Take care.